Mr. Ahmad Swart, the case that has been a thorn to the likes of the captain that who recently appeared before court. And I thought to myself, for you to understand everything here, I need to go back a bit and give you a bit of details about the Ahmad Swart case. Now, we need to get a bit of breakdown so far as this case, Ahmad Swart, is concerned. Now, Swart was shot and killed on the 17th of April 2024 in what investigators believed a case of mistaken identity. The killer were meant to silence a whistleblower who had exposed a massive pricing scam where 390 cent machine print were sold to Transnet for 151 rand each. Swart's company Pktt blew the whistle on the massive price inflation by the SK Group, who were supplying Transnet Flight Rail with product acquired from Pktt. Now, please notice this. So, the problem started with this issue of inflation of price. You were supposed to sell this at 390, and then you went and you sold it at 151 rand each. So the first time I got introduced to that story, it was because of General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. On the press briefing that he did on the 6th of July, he mentioned this.
I've tried to outline some sequence of events. I had said the team left for Gauteng to go and assist organized crime in Gauteng. There was a shooting incident that had occurred in April 2024, where Mr. Swart, a Pktt employee, was fatally shot while entering the company premises. Pktt has been a long-standing service provider to Transnet. Shortly after the incident, 3 suspects, including a warrant officer, a South African Police Service warrant officer, a detective Tau Pule, were arrested in Johannesburg. During the arrest, weapons that were used in this matter, which was an AK-47 and a pistol, along with cell phones, were confiscated. I must applaud the team in Gauteng who had effected this arrest before the arrival of the team in KZN. It is the challenges that this investigating team of Gauteng encountered that led into the invitation to the KwaZulu-Natal police to go and assist. The KwaZulu-Natal Political Killings Task Team arrival, they took these weapons and they went and tested them. So they conducted a ballistic test in order to check whether these firearms were linked with that murder and many other murders perhaps that will have occurred in the country. Maybe let me pause on that one and come back into what had happened prior to us receiving the results from the task team, ballistic test result. On the 6th of December 2024, the task team visited the premises of the 2 of the high-profile syndicate, of which one, Mr. Katiso Molefe, was arrested for the murder of Mr. Swart of Pktt. During that arrest, an unusual activities were observed whilst the team were busy with the operation. These activities included a dispatching of members of the South African Police Service under the command of a senior manager at the head office to go and interrupt the operation that was unfolding. Fortunately, when they arrived there, the members realized that it is indeed a police operation, so they allowed the members to carry out their operation without disturbance. On the 30th December 2024, the ballistic expert issued a ballistic report which linked these firearms not only with the murder of Mr. Swart, but these firearms were linked with a number of high-profile cases. And these cases include very high-profile South African artists. that were murdered in Gauteng, which occurred dating back as far as 2021. I'm not going to mention them, but we have them on record.
Now, after Mkhwanazi mentioned that, the story of Ahmad Swart started to come back alive yet again. Now, we then have to go back to the people who took his life, which include a police officer, by the way. So we're still going to talk about that. So they were driving a white Hyundai i20, later linked to the crime scene, was hijacked in Sunnyside on January 2024. It was fitted with a duplicate license plate registered to an elderly woman. Then fast forward, 17 April 2024, the murder Ahmad Swart, a South African engineer employed by Pktt in Vereeniging, was fatally shot on 17 April 2024 outside of his workplace while at his vehicle. He died on the hail of bullet. He was shot 23 times. The suspect initially escaped in a white Hyundai i20, but were later intercepted in a Mercedes-Benz parked along the road. Inside the Mercedes-Benz, police found 2 occupants along with 15 spent AK-47 cartridge cartons. A further search for the Hyundai revealed that the AK-47 rifle was loaded with 96 bullets. And I need to repeat this. This firearm was loaded with 96 bullets. Now, I need to make you guys understand something. You will see how Mr. Jos Banyoni is also drawn into this matter, because you'll remember when the story of Jos Banyoni broke out, I said to you guys, Jos Banyoni, he somehow there's something that once happened to him where he survived an attempted assassination, was shot with a hail of bullet, but he survived. Nevertheless, let's go back now a bit. Now, let me introduce you to a police officer by the name of Pktt, former officer, right? Michelle Pktt, Diego Mabusela, and Musa Kekana were arrested and charged with the murder hours after the shooting. At least 4 cell phones were recovered from the suspect, including the burner phone. Witness A confirmed that one of them identified themselves as Michelle Pktt, is a member of the South African Police Service. In fact, this Pktt guy, actually, he was an investigating officer at the time when they committed this offense. Now, this then paved way to you understand the captain that recently appeared before court, because you need that background. I need to give you all of the background so you can understand how did we get here. Now, on the 19th of April 2024, they made their first court appearance. First court appearance was on a Friday in a Vereeniging Magistrate Court. Now, I need you guys to listen to this. The mood was described as tense, with supporters' behavior threatening, many of whom were fellow police officers from Johannesburg Central, right? But they were not wearing their uniform. In other words, Detective Pktt somehow got a lot of sympathy from people at Johannesburg Central Police Station. Now, please note that, because it is important to realize that it therefore makes sense that that man will then get favors even from the members, because there were people who were sympathizing with him within the SAPS. Now, let's go a little bit further. Let's now start with the cover-ups, which then involve Captain Makgotle, which led to his arrest. The state alleges that on the 24th of May 2024, Captain Makgotle was already aware that Swart had been murdered, and that a colleague, Warrant Officer Pktt, and 2 others had been arrested It is further alleged that on this date, he was found with an unlawful possession of ammunition without a valid license. Now, please note this, 30 December 2024, ballistic linked to murders. Now, I need you to remember that. So, the captain that has been arrested, he is arrested. When he got arrested, the team that was working on that case were not satisfied. That's why he said he was held against his will, kidnapping case, because they probably came back to him and say, there are so many inconsistencies in your report. Please explain these things. And he couldn't explain it, right? So then they went for a second opinion. But before we go forward, listen to this.
Okay, very good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. On Friday, the Commission's Recommendations Task Team arrested Captain Pktt for defeating the ends of justice, for being an accessory after fact, and for being found in possession of unlicensed ammunition. When they arrived at his home, they found him in possession of 28 ballistics reports, but the team is still analyzing those particular ballistic reports. They also found him with several rounds of ammunition and so on. So today he has appeared in court. He is back on the 2nd of June. But you will recall that this case emanates from the Swart case, where Swart was killed on the 17th of April 2024. You'll recall that he was killed in a hail of bullets, and a few hours later, our organized crime detectives, as well as Gauteng members, they had managed to arrest those that had been behind his assassination in Johannesburg. And upon their arrest, they were found with a licensed private firearm. They were found with about 15 AK-47 cartridges. And they then proceeded to the accused, or rather suspects at the time's homes, where they found actually the vehicle that was used in the hit of Swart, which was a Hyundai i20. In that particular Hyundai i20, one AK-47 was found together with 2 pistols. So it means that after murdering Swart, those suspects proceeded to one of the homes of the suspects. They abandoned that particular vehicle, knowing that obviously police are hot on their heels. They got into another vehicle, but little did they know that intelligence was already tailing them, and they then got arrested. Fine. So fast forward, obviously those firearms that are found are then taken for ballistics testing at our head office forensic science laboratory. And upon completion of that particular report, there are then glaring mistakes and errors that are then noted. While our organized crime detectives are still on the ground, obviously they receive information that these particular hitmen are involved in a number of high-profile cases, and they had been, involved in a lot of murders and a lot of attempted murders. But when that particular report, that was obviously signed off then by Captain Pktt, then is finalized and presented, these 2 investigators from Gauteng Organized Crime then noticed that there are a lot of errors and there are no linkages. We are here today because of those 2 investigators, and I think we need to give credit where it's due, because if they were not determined, if they did not persist for a second opinion on those particular firearms, a lot of cases would have remained unsolved. So through their determination, they then requested their commanders for a second opinion for those particular firearms. Those firearms were then taken from head office forensic science laboratory. They were taken to Amanzimtoti FSL, where indeed they were then linked to 30 cases. serious and violent cases, the majority of them being murder and a few attempted murder. The team to verify whether the Amanzundoti report was a true reflection of the forensic findings, they then requested for another second opinion. Those firearms were then taken to Eastern Cape Forensic Science Laboratory, where the two reviewers and the ballistics experts then agreed that indeed these firearms linked to 30 serious and violent cases, the majority being murder and attempted murder. So it then gave the investigators an indication that the initial report that was worked on by Captain Pktt, it had glaring mistakes and a lot of errors. And it is unusual with the experience of Captain Pktt that he would make such glaring mistakes and would not link these firearms to other cases. Now we know that those three firearms were linked to, firstly, the Swart case. They were linked to DJ Somebody and his two bodyguards case. The Don Dingleni murder, they were linked to DJ Vinto's murder. When it comes to attempted murder, we link those firearms to the attempted murder of Josie Banyoni, the attempted murder of, I think it was DJ Vetis, and so on. So our team is still in investigating and linking other cases. It's highly likely that they'll bring other cases before court. So in the value chain, a ballistic expert plays a very crucial role. When a ballistic expert fails to provide true and accurate forensic findings, it derails investigations. So misrepresentation and failing to correctly analyze exhibits, it leads investigators to being misled. It compromises investigations, and it means perpetrators then evade justice. So it's a very serious crime, and that is why he is facing about 3 charges: the defeating of the ends of justice, accessory after the fact, because we do believe that by him misrepresenting the report and manipulating the report, then he should, together with those suspects or the accused, be charged then with the murders of Swart. Because even in the Swart case, where he linked the ballistics, the firearms to that particular crime scene, there were still glaring errors that would have ensured that those accused would get off scot-free. So I think credit needs to be given to those 2 investigators who we cannot obviously mention and divulge their ranks and names because of the risk that is involved. We have had to obviously put measures in place to protect them, because we have previously indicated that their lives are at risk because of their determination, their commitment to the badge, and for their relentless efforts in ensuring that many other cases are solved. Now we have the perpetrators of DJ Somebody, we've got the perpetrators of Don Dingleni, DJ Vintos, the attempted murder suspects in the cases of Josie Banyoni, as well as DJ Vetis and so on. So really credit must be given to those 2 investigators for the meticulous investigative work and the commitment, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here today. All these perpetrators would have evaded justice.
Can you talk about whether there are internal investigations unfolding in relation to Pktt? Has he been suspended? Does he still keep his badge? What's happening there?
Well, in terms of suspension, I don't think he is yet suspended, but we will be ensuring that the internal departmental processes kick in line with our disciplinary regulations, and we will then provide further detail at a later stage. But obviously we have to follow due processes in terms of departmental investigations.
And Athlenda, we remember, of course, his time at the Madlanga Commission where these discrepancies were brought into sharp scrutiny. He mentioned system errors, typo errors. How deliberate was his intention, as you've mentioned, to manipulate this evidence? And what did he stand to gain?
Well, those are the answers I think that we are looking for, and this is an opportunity for the captain to actually come clean, to say who was he working with. Was he working with the syndicates, or was he working with other people who stood to gain if they protected those syndicates and those accused that are now before court?
You've also mentioned that he's now looking at the fact that he was an accessory of. Does that mean he will be joined as an accused in the murders of DJ Somebody and DJ Vintos? As we understand, that case is currently before the courts.
Well, not now. I will have to get a full briefing from the investigating officer, but now he's only linked to the Swart case because, like I've indicated on that particular report as well, there were glaring mistakes that if that matter was brought before court with that particular ballistics report, then the perpetrators would have evaded justice because probably the magistrate would have thrown that case out of court.
And as you speak, it's so glaring. Some of the issues that you've raised are so similar to that of Sergeant Fanningosi in regards to some of the documents that he was found with. The scale of the involvement of officers in concealing evidence and tampering with that type of evidence, I'm sure it is something that is probably worrying for Saps at this moment.
Well, obviously, it's quite a great concern, but we've got full faith and confidence in the Commission's recommendations task team, in the work that they're doing, that they will continue to detect wrongdoing, they will continue to uncover those that are working with the syndicates and bring perpetrators to justice.
Okay, then let's talk about the task team, the organized task team that's being led, organized crime task team that's being led by Ntantla Mkhwanazi. Is this task team perhaps then also working together with the recommendations task team that's looking into these allegations at the Madlanga Commission?
Well, absolutely. It's quite a big team, and they're hard at work in ensuring that they restore trust and public confidence back in the police. So this is a result of the ongoing investigations that have emerged from the task team, but they're not only focusing on what is happening at the Madlanga Commission. If other information comes forward, is brought to their attention, they investigate it and they find that there's prima facie evidence to effect arrest, and there is a case that will be able to stand in court, then they pursue such cases.
Just lastly then, I know the Joseph Anyoni matter is now going to be re-enrolled. I know as the police, you were hard at work to try and gather this evidence. Your reaction to the re-enrollment?
Well, Mpumalanga police had indicated that they still believe that they've got a strong case against the 4 accused. They still maintain that the evidence that they've gathered remains intact, and they are working closely, obviously, with the NPA to ensure that that matter is re-enrolled and the 4 accused then are brought before court to answer to the charges that they are facing.
Now, you remember that we got that information that the Pktt then decide that this guy, they take the same thing, the same firearm and everything, and then they take it to a different person in KZN. And then that ballistic expert testified on Madlanga Commission and said it took him less than 2 days to put everything together and link everything. You will remember General Mkhwanazi then is testifying. He did say, guys, you're about to hear a lot about this firearm. But he had mentioned that this firearm took a lot of people's lives, including celebrities. But when he testified at the Madlanga Commission, he says, guys, you are about to hear more about this firearm. Now, let's go back now and visit Katiso Molefe, because all of this couldn't have happened as it has been alleged without Katiso Molefe putting everything together. On December 2024, Katiso Molefe was arrested and categorized as the mastermind. Katiso Molefe was first arrested at his son's house home in December 2024 for the April 2024 murder of Vereeniging engineer Swart. On 6 December 2024, the Pktt was at Molefe's house where they arrested him and searched his residence. A Pktt member later told the Matlanga Commission he was puzzled by the number of Hawks officers who disrupted that. You'll remember that it became a thing, right, which is now a thorn of some sort to other people within the police thing. So you realize that the death of Ahmad Swart is basically something that is deeper than what you and I can perceive, right? It is linked to the cartel, as General Hlahla Mkhwanazi will say. But I need you to have that in your mind. Keep that in your mind, that we are dealing with a matter that is linked to the cartel. And then there's somebody that is not necessarily sure, has not yet been arrested as of us today, as of us speaking. That name, let's go back to 2024. Like, there's a man called Lled Molefe goes on the run. Lled Molefe, Katiso's nephew and former Transnet buyer who was under pressure to hand over doctor tender document, had been hiding since December 2024. Police are still searching for him. We know that somewhere there was this controversial release of Katiso Molefe on bail by the Johannesburg High Court after the magistrate in Alexandra did not grant him bail. But that is to give you the perspective and the idea of the people that we are dealing with. But yeah, on the 21st of July 2025, SAPS arrested suspect in connection with DJ Wara somebody, and ballistic analysts confirmed the firearm used in Sefoka's killing was also the murder of Ahmad Swart. A clear operational link, right? So you're then beginning to see that the people who killed this guy, Swart, are the very same people who took the life of Sefoka. So you realize that there's something then that would have made them to do that, and it is something that we're about to experience in the court of law, because during those things we will then get to hear that. But the guy was granted that controversial 400,000 bail, which up until today, we don't understand how that happened. So then, let's then go forward. Then you will have Captain Pktt, who then get arrested. Matlanga Commissioner's recommendation tasked him arrested Captain Lawrence Pktt on Friday, the 22nd of May 2026, in his residency in Pretoria. Following further investigation into the matter, he was arrested at the residency on the residency, and SAPS spokesperson also confirmed that. We're not going to talk about the things that was found at his house, which is again very much concerning. You are a ballistic expert, and then you are found with live ammunition that are not registered to you. Whew. The question is, what are the possibilities that you were involved in something wrong here? I don't know. And again, I'm going to tell you guys that you will remember that when Mkhwanazi was arrested, Julius Mkhwanazi of Eguruland, when he was arrested, do you guys remember that Julius Mkhwanazi was also found with a lot of live ammunition? So, you guys need to start asking yourselves these questions. Why are these members of SAPS, when they are arrested, why are they found with things that doesn't belong to them? And I'm giving you, I don't know how best can I say this. I'm giving you this to say, or I'm telling you this to say, did you notice that? Okay, in fact, let me sum it up for you. Do you notice that the first time when the SAPS visited the police who Seychen Nkosi, did you notice that first they found him with amount of 360,000 rand that they couldn't justify or explain where it came from? But on the second time, do you remember that he was also found with state grenade, live ammunition, and I forgot the other, right? Notice that. That's a police, by the way. And then, a few weeks later, Julius Mkhwanazi, a police officer in the EMPD, Eguruleni, is arrested. Guess what? He's found with live ammunition. That doesn't belong to him. They're still investigating where did he get that. But we already know with the one of Seychen Nkosi, he was not supposed to be in possession of that. And in fact, he has gone to the SAPS to surrender some of it, but kept some of it. Furthermore, just go back to Seychen Nkosi. He is found with docket. He's found with things that, in fact, it doesn't belong to him. So there's that commonality between Seychen Nkosi as well as Julius Mkhwanazi. Now, fast forward. Captain who works at the forensic laboratory in the SAPS, he's found in possession of live ammunition that doesn't belong to him. Do you notice that there is a trend and sequence of events here? There's a trend and a worrying sequence here. What are the odds that some of the cases that they are part of, the fact they present before courts are actually real facts? What are the odds? Could there be a possibility that there is a manipulation of evidence by police members? What are they doing with these live ammunition? Are they not distributing to people so they can go and kill people? I'm not sure. But I would like to leave it here for today, with the hope that we shall see each other on the next video. But until the next video, good people, please take care.